Okay, got to start this thing some point, right? Right? Welcome into the Eric St. Show podcast, a daily show where I discuss news, nonsense, and my personal adventures. Saturday evening, basketball game. Grand Rapids Gold, having so much fun. Oh my God, loving that. At halftime, the Red Panda performed. I've talked about Red Panda before. I'm actually, in case you missed it, going to pull up Red Panda doing her thing. I don't know how she does it, but it's incredible, to say the least. I believe she was... Hold on. I'm hearing weird things right now. What the fuck is going on here? All of a sudden I hear like audio playing. Terrible start. Jesus. Red Panda is on a unicycle. She's like 10 feet in the air. She's wheeling around on the arena floor. This is Red Panda. For those of you who don't know, I've never seen this before. This is absolutely spectacular. She was with me Saturday, or with us Saturday at the basketball game. Same music and everything. She's on the unicycle, one leg controlling the unicycle with one pedal. And then she puts all the damn bulls on her foot somehow and balancing, and then she flips them, and they get close. Oh my God. Now that was like 3 of them. Here's the final, I think 5. Wait a minute. Oh, here you go. Look at, she's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bulls resting on the one foot. And then watch this. Watch the crowd go crazy and her reaction when she does it. Darla! What the fuck? How could that possibly be real? That is nuts. How do you do that? That to me is more impressive than anything any athlete has ever done right there. I'm not sure how much she charges to get in the building. But that's spectacular, right? Well, she got on the court with us at the Grand Rapids Gold game. And boy, did she suck. The fucking bulls were flying, bouncing all around the court. She couldn't get anything right. Aram asked how much money she makes a year. Well, I mean, you know, for that, what I saw, or what we just saw on the thing there, you know, I would say she makes $100 million a day. I mean, it's defying logic and physics, frankly, what we're seeing. How do you become proficient at that? How does that? She's combining a unicycle, balance, and bulls, and physics somehow, and geometry. I don't know how the fuck. In fact, if I'm describing it to you in the audio podcast, you're like listening to this later in the day, and you don't quite get what I was saying. You have to go and actually look at it in the link that's in the show notes. It's too fucking much to even comprehend. Well, Saturday, I've never seen, because I've seen her many times. I've never seen her have such a bad time. They got to that big moment there with the 5 bulls. That's the last thing. And our guy Hayden threw him up to her. And as LJ Guy 2004 says, is there a dildo on top of her seat to keep her up there? No. She's just seated on it. You idiot. And she does the thing, and 1 bull lands in the deal, and then 4 bulls just go crashing down onto the court. And she's like, oh, one more time. Makes my pal Hayden throw her the Bulls back up. That she does it again. She fucks it up again 3 times. And then finally, after the 3rd time, she said, fuck it. She was like booed off the court. She went away crying. She wasn't booed. She didn't cry, but I'm sure she was pissed, man. Be surprised if she didn't commit Harry Carey in the back. Some of you get that joke. You're like, Harry Carey, what does the baseball announcer have to do with it? No, it's that's Japanese for like kill yourself. I think that's what that is. So all right. Kenny says she's giving actual red pandas a bad name. She sucks. And that's all I can read. Because the rest of it doesn't make sense. Amazing. Oh, okay. No, it makes sense. And isn't wearing red, nor is she a panda. The lack of comma screwed me up. Sorry. LJ Guy 2004 says, did she give a happy ending at least? Boy, I didn't detect that. I didn't detect anybody getting a happy ending. Darla! No, don't start. Don't give me that side eye. Hold on. No. Only one of those days today. That's what's going on. So that was a disappointment. It was really a disappointment. So before she got started, where I sit courtside, I turned around and there's these people sitting in these the Grand Rapids Gold's version of a suite. I turn around, I go, you're going to love this. Oh, my God. The red pen. He's like, I've never seen it. I go, oh, you're going to love it. Well, all right. So then that ends. And then afterwards, after the game, I go, Red Panda let everybody down. He goes, yeah. He goes, hey, Zane, about 4 or 5 years ago, I was at a Griffins game. And it was at the intermission, similar to what we just saw, except it was a bunch of people wearing Quidditch robes, or what do you call it? Hogwarts robes from the movie Harry Potter. And on the ice, they were running around in between periods playing Quidditch, of all things. You know what they do in the Harry Potter books to that's their soccer. Riding around on broomsticks. So all these adults are running around in robes playing Quidditch. And then, no, I do not remember this. I'm just taking his word for it. I mean, I remember the game, but I don't remember the comment. Because apparently I said, let's make some noise for these nerds. And this guy said that he laughed for the whole fucking remainder of the game. Laughed all the way home. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. I don't even know if I read the room. I must have read the room because the people there had to have taken it well. They have to know that they're nerds. I mean, everybody's thinking it, right? Bunch of adults running around in robes. PA announcer says, make some noise for these nerds. Come on now. Aram writes, maybe those videos on YouTube are fake. No, I've seen this with my own eyes. I've seen Red Panda before, like I indicated, several times. But there is a thought. Somebody suggested, did the Bulls have magnets in them to, like, pull them down on top of her head easier? And I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I don't think there's anything that's, I mean, as far as I can tell, because Hayden, the guy who was throwing the Bulls up to her to get her ready for each round, he said, he goes, no, they seem like there was no, you know how, like, when you have a magnet next to another magnet, like, they pull each other if the size, otherwise they'll, like, repel. No, he said they were just regular Bulls. All right. So that was that was something. Chris in Maine, Hall of Famer, baseball player, says, in high school, we thought we were so cool when we drove past the long line waiting for a Star Wars premiere and yelled, Star Wars sucks out the window. Or Star Trek sucks out the window. Get it right. So, all right. That was a big letdown, frankly. And the basketball team lost again. They're like 0-4. Looking for that first win. They had a ton of people there, though, on Saturday. I was happy to see that. Speaking of shit, the Detroit Pistons, not affiliated with the Grand Rapids basketball team. The Grand Rapids basketball team is affiliated with the Denver Nuggets, who won the world championship last year. The Pistons team has nothing to do with the Grand Rapids Gold. But get this. This is fucking great. I love this. Last year, they, I think they finished with the worst record in the league or close to the worst record in the league or something like that. And got a really excellent draft pick. Doesn't matter who, at least on paper. Really high draft pick. And they've had that for the past several years. And they still suck tons of dick. So the fucking basketball season starts this year, and they start out the season 2 wins and 1 loss. And everybody's like, okay, yeah, here we go. We're turning it around. Yeah. Now, this is a once very, very proud franchise. Okay. Back at the early part of this century, in the early 2000s, they were pretty fucking great. You know, Ben Wallace, Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, Chauncey Billups, fucking lighting the world on fire. NBA champions. They were awesome. And then before that, in the late 80s, the Bad Boys, they won 2 back-to-back. Should have been 3 back-to-back. Or 3 back-to-back-to-back. So there's a damn history there. Since the Pistons started out 2-1, they've now lost 11 straight. 11 in a row they've lost. They're 2 wins and 12 losses. Holy shit. That is incredible. That is the worst in the league. And their next game is against the Denver Nuggets. You know, the defending NBA champions. How shitty is that? With 5 minutes to go in the Lions game yesterday as I was making the chicken marsala. First time I ever done that. Absolute smash. Fantastic. The Lions had been so shitty all game, and that was I didn't watch the first half. I was at Meijer buying ingredients for the dinner. I try not to get too wrapped up. I don't ever just sit and watch. I've talked about that before because I can't risk it if they fuck up. Then because I haven't been doing anything in addition to watching the game, I feel like it's wasted time, and I hate that. So I always am doing something else while the game is going on. So first half, I listen to it on the way to Meijer. I go to Meijer. I walk out of Meijer. I listen to the game on the way home from Meijer. And then it's halftime by the time I get home. And then, all right, I'll put it on my phone and set it next to me while I'm working in the kitchen. Well, there's shit. Jared Goff, the quarterback, had this really bad game where he kept throwing it to the Bears. Now, the Bears, I noticed that they reminded me of the Lions in previous years with the ultimate result of this game. But they were quite good in a lot of respects. And the Lions were just fucking awful. Goff threw 3 picks. And then this guy named Craig Reynolds, he was returning like a kickoff or some shit. And he's running it back. And they smashed the shit out of him. And the ball goes flying in the fucking air. He fumbles that fucking thing. I'm like, this is horrible. And Justin Fields, I think is his name, the quarterback for the Bears. He dropped this beautiful pass in, touchdown. And I go, fuck this. I'm shutting this off. So I did shut it off. And then But in the other room, the NFK is watching. Now there's 5 minutes to go at that point. And now they ended up winning. They're down by 12. Actually, they were down by 12 with 3 minutes to go. Imagine that. The Bears are leading by 12 points with 3 minutes to go. And they managed to lose that fucking game. It was an epic Detroit Lions-like implosion in previous years. Other years, that is the Lions doing that. But now it's like that's the Bears. I mean, how shitty is that? You're up 12 points. The Bears are going to get a signature win for the year. They've only won 2 or 3 games leading into this game, and you're going to beat the first-place team, the Lions. You got it. You got it in the fucking bag. Lions very quickly march down the field, and then they score very, very quickly. So now they're down, 12, 5. They're down 5. They kick off to the Bears. Legit, all the Bears have to do is get 1 or 2 first downs and then just start taking a knee, and the game is over. They didn't do shit. They went 3 and out, and they only burned 12 seconds off of the clock. What the fuck? How is that even possible? That's coaching. Because, first of all, the Bears, I don't even know what they did during those 3 downs. But if you run it on that first one, okay, let's say you pick up a yard or 2. Now you got 2nd and 8. You bleed that play clock all the way down. And even if you run it up the middle and get a yard, you bleed the clock all the way down. But the Lions started calling timeouts. So that's probably what happened. Now that I think about it, I'm sure that's what happened. Maybe if I'd have watched it, I would have known that. I don't know. I'm guessing the Lions took timeouts, but who gives a shit? The fact of the matter is they burned 12 seconds. They couldn't get a first down. If they would have gotten a first down, the game is over because the Lions used their timeouts. Motherfuck. So then they punt. Lions get the ball back and immediately ram it right up their ass. Lions get a touchdown. They're up 1. They go for 2. They get that. Now they're up 3. The best the Bears can do is tie. What do the Bears do with like 25 seconds left? Fields gets the ball, and what's that guy's name? Aiden Hutchinson. He goes berserk and smashes Fields, and the ball goes fucking flying, and some fat fuck offensive lineman kicks it out of bounds. That's a safety. 2 points. Now the Lions are up 5, and they get the ball. Holy shit. Lions win. Just like that. That is such a thing that would happen to the Lions. My God. Nuts. Linda says, I'm so glad I turned the game back on. IMKO says it was a 100% a coaching issue by the Bears. Yeah, I think the Bears actually have some good players. They really do. They've got they're kind of beat up right now, but they've got some strong running backs, solid receivers. Fields is good. Not great, but he's good. And defensively, they've got some solid players too. But goddamn, their coaching stinks. I don't know how you can cough the ball up 4 fucking times and you win the game. What? That is bananas. I was shocked at that. I'm not used to this. That in particular, I wasn't used to. I was like, well, you know what? They're going to go to 7-3. All right. And then the Vikings will probably win. And then fucking A, man. Not so, though. Lions win it, and then the Vikings lose late to Denver. Denver's a team that earlier in the year, I think they lost like 75-0 or something like that to Miami, and they have turned it around. Denver has. They beat Buffalo in Buffalo last week, and they beat the Vikes yesterday on a last-minute touchdown. Wengie says Goff, that's Ben Weller, says Goff was lost most of the game, but then he turned it on. I want to know what the deal was early. Post-game, he said, yeah, just bad decisions. Stupid. Bad decisions. Hey, whatever. Those fuckers are 8-2 now. And Philly takes on KC tonight. Now, even if Philly loses, though the records are the same, the tiebreaker would be conference, and in the conference, Philly's 6-0. Lions are 5-1. So, but still, it's fucking nuts. I can't believe it. 10 games into this NFL season, we're talking about the Lions knocking on the door of having home field throughout the playoffs. Holy shit. I'm just going to continue to do the same thing. I'm not going to sit down. I'm being very superstitious about this. I don't want to sit down to watch anything. I don't want to say, all right, I'm ready to go. Let's be invested in the game. I'm just going to, on Thanksgiving, which is, of course, Thursday, I'm traveling to Charity Scam Mike's house. The Lions play the Packers in Detroit. I'm just going to show up there, and if it's on, I'm going to peek in. Okay, great, while I'm helping getting food ready. Holy shit. IMKO says, I'll remortgage the house to go to a home playoff game. It is so loud in that building when the fans are into it. It is ridiculous. I don't know how you can't even think. Damn it. It is quite the party. If you do go to a Lions game, it's probably a good idea. I'm not kidding you. To get there at like 9 a.m., 8 or 9 in the morning if you go to a Lions game. Because that way, because it's all surface lots surrounding the venue. These little teeny tiny surface lots everywhere. And you get in there and then you bust out the grill and then you just start eating and feeding people as they walk to the stadium. It's an absolute blowout party. So great. Feed some homeless people. They're everywhere. Aram writes, the Lions are the real thing. I'm a Pats fan, so I know a winner. Yeah, a lot of people have talked about that whole, when their back is to the wall, like down 12 with 3 minutes to go, and somehow just we win. That's something Tom Brady and the Patriots have been able to do all those times, or did all those times. All right. We shall see. I credit the coaching of the Lions. They've really that whole staff has really worked those players. Don't forget Goff in his first year with the Lions. He was a pile of shit. Also interesting, the Lions in year one of Dan Campbell, they were 3-13-1. Year two, they were 9-8, and this year they're 8-2. If you were to add all that up, that gives Dan Campbell a 20-win. His record is 20 wins, 23 losses, and 1 tie. He may, if he's lucky, be able to have more wins than losses in his career with the Lions. Aram talks about the Patriots. We are back to sucking. But the Lions are coming into their own. I have never heard those words spoken about the Detroit Lions. There was maybe one time, I think they were like 11-5 one year that I remember, maybe a 12-4. The year that they won the one playoff game, 1991, I think it was. They beat the Dallas Cowboys. In a home playoff game, and then they got murdered on the road at Washington, who went on to win the Super Bowl that year. It's worth repeating that futility that in the year 1957, before the Super Bowl existed, they won the the NFL championship that year. since then, they've had one playoff victory in that many years. That is insane. God damn. Well, all right. Off and running. Also off and running, the Michigan Wolverines. They beat Maryland. Tua's little brother was a big pile of shit for a portion of that game. He kept coughing up the ball. It was interesting because Maryland, opening drive, does well, get a field goal. Michigan goes and punts. Tua's little brother gets it again, and then he coughs it up, puts it down on the carpet. Some big dude picks it up and rambles in for a touchdown. I think Michigan already had a touchdown at that point. At that point, it was like 14-3, and I was like, this is over. Fuck it. This is over. I'm done. Michigan is going to win. They're going to blow out Maryland. I was convinced of it. Start working in the yard. And I checked the score and go, Jesus Christ, they're in this damn thing. And they Michigan couldn't do anything right after a while. And then Maryland started moving the ball, and they had a shot. And then late in the game with with Maryland backed all the way up, the fucking Tua's brother was in the end zone, and then he threw it to nobody, like intentional grounding. And he's in the end zone, and if you throw it to no one like that, that's like a 2-point safety. Game over. Michigan escapes Maryland. Sets up the game. Ohio State, Michigan. What will the week bring us when it comes to all of this sign-stealing scandal? I had a audience member, that would be the immortal Hurricane Ashley, admit to your old pal EZ that up until just the other day, she said to her husband, her boyfriend, Tim, hey, what sign did Harbaugh steal? And he goes, wait, what? Yeah, why is the sign so valuable, and why would he even take it? And he goes, what are you talking about? Yeah, they're talking about Harbaugh stealing a sign. She thought that it was like an actual sign. And he couldn't believe it. But I thought to myself, that's not the first person who I've talked to who thought the same thing. I ran into a guy at King's Room Barbershop who thought that he was stealing actual signs, like yard signs. People who just don't know. IMKO says Harbaugh running down the road carrying a gas price sign. Is there any excuse that you can offer? Because I said, if you don't know anything about sports, is that okay to think that an actual sign was stolen? Or do we look at a person who thinks that Harbaugh actually took a sign and say, God, you're a dumbass? Is that what we do? I don't know. Little a column A, little a column B. I think, again, she doesn't know shit about sports. Joe Martinez says, we are Michigan. And then he says, no excuses. Defense was awesome. For Michigan. But there was still a pretty damn close game. I think that Michigan did not play their best football. If Michigan plays against Ohio State the way they played against Maryland, they're going to have a hard time. Joe Martinez says Harbaugh didn't steal anything. Well, there's always this week. Fuck, we've probably got video of him taking the signs, running down the street with a sign. Here we are now. how many days into this whole thing, you got one guy resigned, another guy suspended for 3 games, and another guy is fired. And then you've got a clandestine booster named Uncle T who's funding the whole thing. Do you remember at the point in time when everybody said, oh, yeah, Connor Stalions, he acted alone. Yeah, this is it's like now we know that there's so much more to it. Joe Martinez says, where is the evidence? Well, yeah, the one guy, Partridge, deleted it all. That's why he got fired. That's where the evidence is. Come on now. At this stage of this game, with one guy fired, another guy suspended, and another guy resigned, and a booster, you can't, at this point, say with a straight face that this is a clean program. You know as well as I do, deep down, that this is an absolute fucking scam. Joe says it goes to show Harbaugh wasn't involved. Now, I know you can't even type that with a straight face. The Wolverines worked very hard to delete anything that implicated Harbaugh. You know that as much as I do. Where is the evidence? It's deleted. Chris Partridge deleted it. God damn. Ben suggests that the team should get, what's known as the death penalty, which is ban the football program. Oh, come on now. Now, this ends here. Harbaugh will serve his punishment, and then that will be it. 3 games is appropriate. He can still deny any culpability unless something else is found out. But either way, 3-game penalty for stealing signs. I honestly think that in this case, it's the cover-up is worse than the crime, as always. Anytime you have the incident, the actual incident, and then you're like hoping that no information gets found out, and then you're like fighting the 3 games, and then all of a sudden, oh no, we'll take the 3 games, and then it comes out the next day that, oh boy, yeah, there's a lot of messiness behind all of that. God damn. In a way, it's quite redeeming to me and anyone else who wasn't buying any of Michigan's bullshit. They cheated, and everybody knew about it, and now the world knows about it, and the world knows that for a long time they've been cheating. Somebody made a great point that in the 2 games since the cheating scandal erupted, Penn State and Maryland, that J.J. McCarthy has been very average or below average. He hasn't been great. And if he is that average against Ohio State, they're going to lose. I think the best thing Michigan has going for them is that offensive line. Because if you're smashing the defensive line's face in like that, it doesn't matter how much cheating is involved. You still got to make the blocks. And when the Michigan offensive line hits any defensive line, they go back like 5 yards. In fact, I would just run it up the middle every fucking play. You know? I think they kind of did. There's no question. The offensive line for Michigan is like an NFL all-star team. Maureen wants them to take away Michigan's victories. Nah. You know, and I think there's a lot of point that this comment has to be made because Michigan fan has often said, well, everybody steals signs. And yes, that's true. During the game, you have people on your sideline that are watching and trying to put it together and on the fly figuring it out. That is true. But there's nothing you can do about that. That's gamesmanship, and it's encouraged. But the idea that Michigan had all that information filed and ready to go and memorized well before the games because they had clandestine people showing up in disguise on fucking sidelines and in the stands and shooting video is a little different. Well, it makes all the difference, actually. It becomes to what was a chess match to your fucking cheating. And then the subsequent cover-up, the deletion of the material, the booster paying stallions, all that shit. That's where it gets weird. And Michigan fan says, oh, yeah, well, everybody does that. It's like, no, they don't. There is no proof of that. There's proof of actually Connor Stallions doing it. Let's see. Aram says, if they did steal the signs, they did. Did the Michigan players just think they were super good? Who knows? Joe Martinez says, the line is a little bit above average. They were better last year. I don't know. But I think at the end of the day, we still got to play a football game against Ohio State. I don't even know where that game is. I think it's played at Michigan, right? Michigan football. Yeah, it is at Michigan. Noon on Saturday. Michigan favored by, I guess I don't know. 3, 4? Joe Martinez is going to be there at the game. That's exciting. Oh, my God. I know it's all that $79 furnace tune-up money. Good for you. Ben writes, Harbaugh knew, the athletic director knew, the president knew, and all the players knew. Chris calls it the big shit house. Well, you know, look, when it comes to talking about Michigan on this show, I've indicted them when they've needed to be indicted. Okay? Everything that's been talked about has been fair. I get annoyed at the whole cheating thing. And when that happens, I immediately throw favor to the other team. And since this all happened, that's the way I feel. So I officially want Ohio State to win that game just because it would be right as rain. And you know what else bothers me about Michigan? Not so much Joe Martinez, but a lot of Michigan fans are intensely annoying and arrogant. Okay? And so because of that, that is enough to sway me and say I want Ohio State to win. All right? Have fun, Joe Martinez. I know you're gonna have a ball. All right. Speaking of, there was over the weekend during that game, that was Michigan's 1,000th win ever. They've won 1,000 games. They're the only team to do that. Okay? When it comes to winning percentage, I think Michigan and Ohio State and Alabama are like close. They're like tied. I think two teams have the same number, and I think Ohio State actually has a higher winning percentage than Michigan by like 1 point. Like Michigan has like a 75, and Ohio State has a 76, and Alabama has a 75. But no team has actually won more games than Michigan. They're the only team in college football ever to reach 1,000 victories. Okay? But I was reading this really fantastic article chronicling some of the victories that the team has had. And one that stood out was the 34th victory that Michigan ever had. 34. And it happened in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Let's see. In 1892, on November 19th. So yesterday. Yesterday in 1892. However many years ago that is. I guess that would be 131 years ago, if my math is right. I was reading that back then, in the early stages of football, like back when the first game was played between Rutgers and Princeton in 1869, so decades before 1892, the game was played with a soccer ball, and the game itself looked like a rugby match. Instead of touchdowns, teams were awarded 1 point for every time they got it into the end zone. Rutgers won the game 6-4. So then as the years passed, they started adopting more rules. The ball shape starts changing. Back in the early stages, you couldn't do anything but run the ball. You couldn't throw a pass. The forward pass had not even been invented. In this particular game, I'm talking about November 19th, 1892, the 34th win in Michigan football history. They took on a school named Oberlin. And the game was held on a Sunday. Oberlin had just started their football program 1 year prior. But they brought in a new coach, a guy by the name of John Heisman. Like the John Heisman. The guy that they invented that made the fucking trophy is the head coach of Oberlin. So Heisman and Oberlin get off the train and they walk up to the Michigan football team and they say, hey, we got a problem. Michigan's like, what? Okay, we have to be out of here we have to be walking off the field at 4:50 exactly. Why? That's the latest we can stay in order to make the train to get back to Oberlin, or else we're fucking stranded. So Michigan coach said, all right, deal. So the idea is no matter what stage of the game they're in, at 10-5 p.m. on that Sunday, November 19th, 1892, the game is over. Yeah, it's so informal they can make up rules like that, you know? It's like the fucking beer league. So both teams agree to that. They start to play the game. Quote, this type of agreement was not without precedent. The newspaper from Oberlin read in 1892. The two teams made the same agreement the year before in 1891. Penalties, turnovers, and poor weather slowed the game down. But at 4:49, according to Oberlin, and with the game tied 22-22, Oberlin kicked the ball, and I guess a field goal was a different point total then. They describe it as Oberlin kicked a quick goal for 2 more points. This is actually from the newspaper in 1892. So that meant it was 24-22. Immediately afterward, a backup Oberlin player who served as the referee and timekeeper said, hey, 450. Claiming the victory, Oberlin left the field. So that was a player for Oberlin who was the timekeeper. It's 450, let's go. However, a higher referee, which is also a player, a Michigan player, after Oberlin left the field, said, it's 4:46. With no opponent, the Wolverines were allowed to march down the field for a touchdown, and they won 26-24. Touchdowns were awarded differently at that point. They only got 4 points. So they win 26-24 for victory number 34. And a big pile of bullshit. The game report in the Michigan Daily Student newspaper said, great regret has been expressed at the manner in which the game closed. Look at this is actually the newspaper from that thing. Chris says, oh, so they cheated. Well, it depends on who you ask. Oberlin guys said it was 4:49, game's over in a minute, and then they walked off the field. Okay, hey, way to go, Oberlin, we beat Michigan. And then Michigan said, no, man, we got plenty of time. Let's go. Let's go. Quote, Captain Williams called his men off the field, and they immediately got onto the bus and were driven to their hotel. Before the men could line up again, referee Ensworth called time, and Oberlin ran off the field so quickly that it almost seemed prearranged. Jewett walked over Oberlin's line with the ball for Michigan's 5th touchdown, making the score 26-24 in Michigan's favor. The game is now a small footnote in Michigan history, but stands as one of the high achievements for Oberlin. For one, it was the crowning finale on the team's undefeated season. Plus, the program, which originally served as one of the founders of Ohio's Big Six Conference, eventually faded away, blah, 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 blah. I like the article. The actual press clipping from that paper in Ann Arbor. The University of Michigan Daily, they were fucking homers and ridiculous even back then. Because the headline reads, a good victory. They called that a good victory. Oberlin compromised herself by leaving the field before time was up. A strong game from start to finish, the last home game of the season. The Oberlin team proved something of a surprise to our 11 Saturday afternoon. Their men were heavier than supposed and were well trained. Boy, they wrote differently back then, didn't they? But Michigan could rush them and won by better play. The score standing 26-24. Great regret has been expressed at the manner in which the game closed. Oh, boy. Yeah, that's a pile of shit. They should vacate that win now. How dumb is that? They should take it away now. Kenny says, do they actually line up against an empty field and execute a play? They did. That's exactly what they did. Oberlin was clearly paid off, Chris writes. Vacate all Michigan wins since then. So remarkable to me that even happened, all of that. And the guy, John Heisman, is the fucking coach of Oberlin. Jesus. All right. Pause in the action. I got to go tinkle, but before I do, thank you so much if you've watched the show on Facebook, X, or YouTube. I'm going to send you on your way. Download the audio podcast wherever you get shows. Sign up for Twitch to get the whole show uninterrupted. Thank you.